We live, man.
What's going on?
This man just getting on my ass because hold on, I'll let y'all know when we come back after this intro.
I'm gonna knock these stickers off.
What up, people?
Yeah.
We live for Heroes No Capes, episode 5.
5.
So, my man's ego just got on my ass because I've never seen John Wick.
How do you live your life? You're living your life wrong right now.
Bro, I live my life like I've been living it. I hate Keanu Reeves as an actor.
He doesn't talk that much. That's the beauty of it. He just does talk. He just goes around shooting. That's it. 1 or 2 word sentences. I don't understand how you can't get the best of this and you don't want to see this movie.
Cause he's whack. You talking about he don't talk that much. He barely talks in any of his other movies, or when he does, there's no fucking emotion. So I'm like, I don't want to see this again.
Stone Cold, he's Stone Cold, bro. You know when he actually has to do something, like, wow, he must have been mad because it's not on his face.
He's not okay. In John Wick, he might be Stone Cold. But in all these movies, he just looked fucking dumb. Just like his face is just a blank board. And the viewer has to put all of the information on it.
Don't do Keanu like that, man.
He might as well be fucking Master Chief. Halo. And I don't need that, man.
Oh man! Honestly, don't do a man like that.
Honestly, bro, me and my woman watched John Wick. I think 3, and I fell asleep.
Oh, you get blue.
I fell asleep on it.
That's why you gotta watch the first one to get invested emotionally. I can't wait for 4 and 5 to come out.
They need to stay wherever they at.
Oh man, it's awesome, bro. It's awesome. You gotta watch. We're gonna watch it from the beginning. We watch the first one so you get why he has to do what he does.
I'll watch it, but I would like to be able to talk during the movie.
That's fine. I've seen it like 60 times. We can talk. We can talk. We can go with dialogue. That is fine. I don't mind giving my. Yeah, they actually have a gun Wikipedia dedicated to every gun that's in that movie. Yeah. Like that's how some of the guns that I got from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first gun that he had in there was the what was it? It's an HK P30 with a long slide. Like it was like originally like $700. After that movie came up, it shot up to like $1,100, $1,200 because everyone wanted the John Wick gun. I still want that gun. My dad wants that gun. Like it is so dope.
The only thing that got me intrigued was, I guess who they say Halle Berry or somebody had like some dogs.
Oh yeah, she had some attack German shepherds. How do you miss that whole scene?
I don't know. Because I definitely.
How do you follow?
That was the third one?
Yeah, it happened like in the first 30 minutes of the movie.
Oh, well, I fell asleep in the first 10. Bro, I see Keanu Reeves' face and I just turned off, bro. All stimuli to my body just shut down, bro. And I hate that dude. He's like he's the male equivalent to, I think her name, what's that? Kristen Stewart in Twilight.
Oh, so but she looks like she has gas all the time.
She look like
it's different.
She like she don't know what gas feel like. Like she want to feel something, but she just don't know. Like she fucking Martian Manhunter or some shit. It took a human soul. Oh shit.
It's not how we intend to start the episode, but that's how it's going down either way.
Bro, but then did the movie start because he his dog died? Somebody killed his dog?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You said what?
Was it Theon Greyjoy? You said Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he killed his dog or some shit. I had to tell Shiro. I said, honey, if somebody takes you out and then Molly goes too, I'll be John Wick. Just know that's gonna happen. See, you should watch it because someone's dog actually dies. And he's like, you know what? Go get them hoes. But the dog's not in the movie.
He gets another one.
What is?
That's what I'm saying.
Is it a little puppy?
At the first one's a puppy, but in the second one, it's like a black pit, and he's off leash.
Does it kill people?
No, not since we get to the third one, man. That's why you gotta wait to the third one. You gotta be invested.
So in the third one, the pit bull is with him attacking folks.
No, that's when you see Halle Berry's German Shepherds attack folks. See, you don't even know where you are because you weren't even emotionally invested. That's why you gotta watch the first one.
They're not giving me what I want, bro.
Cool. Fine. We'll have to watch it from the third one on. Then you'll see that.
It's a I love a movie about a boy and his dog, or like a person and their animal companion. So if John Wick would have came into the game with this dog, like I Am Legend, how Will Smith had that dog, but you didn't really see the dog do too much. But nonetheless, a man with some guns, you know what I'm saying? You see him working out and shit and all that type of stuff, but then he got a dog that's on the same thing. Like when the dog was on the treadmill running with him, when they was exercising, bro, I was like, now that's the shit. That's a boy and his dog, but they killing people righteously. That's what I want to see. Don't tell me the man dog died, so now he pissed. So no.
Fine. We'll watch the third one then. You'll at least see her with well-trained German Shepherds, like two. I think it's purebred German Shepherds. Like,
but how important is she in the movie? Like, is she a good character? Is she some villain that we just see died and no more dog?
She's not necessarily a villain. It's you got to watch it. It's someone that John Wick knows because he needs her help, and she owes him for something that he did. So he's like, well, hey, I need you to repay the favor. And that's how she actually winds up trying to help him. But she also has had the dogs that are actually like her pets, but they're also protection.
Yeah.
So I mean, like she's got the dogs outfitted in Kevlar vests. Like that's what I'm saying. You have to see the scene.
But does she give him a dog?
No, man, they're her dogs.
Hey, she might know the breeder, or she might be breeding them, and then she get him a dog.
I think we're going way too in the dog part of this movie.
That's all I care about. I'll watch it, though. I'll watch it, but you know my criticism off top.
I know. I'm just gonna jump in the third one and tell you what happened in the first and second. How about that?
I'll watch the first and second one. If I'm watching it with somebody that's invested in it, it'll get me more excited. It was me and my woman watching it. We didn't give a shit. We just heard, oh, this is great. So we popped it on and we was like, oh, this is trash. And we bought them. I bought them just on Google Play or some shit, Google TV, whatever. Okay. So I guess.
Okay. But, you gotta start from the beginning because like my dad saw it first and told me about it. Then I saw it.
Yeah.
Then I think when part 2 came out, he saw it and then I saw it. But we both went to go see when 3 came out. Yeah. Like we were that excited. It was that good of a movie.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
So yeah. That's part of what got my dad into guns too. He's been looking for that gun ever since.
All right, y'all want to be John Wick? I want to be Deadpool.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
As long as we come to the same conclusion.
That's fair. Fine. I'll give you that.
I'm some mercs out here, some mercenaries. But all right, people, this episode 5 of Heroes No Capes podcast. You have just joined the abomination known as AJ and my man's Ego. What's up, bro? What you been on?
Well, man, nothing much. Just this fresh haircut, you know.
Yes, sir. You should be fresh, off, man.
Yeah, man. I need to let it grow back slowly, so save on the haircut fees.
I feel you. So when you out here John Wick and you can feel the wind of the enemy on your chin. That boy, right. I feel you.
Yeah, otherwise everything's been going good. How about yourself, man?
Man, I got hella dogs here. They calm, they chill right now. I just dealt with them, so they should be good for a little while. But you know, I'm on my what John Wick shit should have been. So if they get the barking, I'm gonna have to get up and see what's up. You know what I'm saying? Make sure nobody's trying to kill me.
Fair point.
Yeah. So if I get up, you know what I'm saying, that's what it is. But I'll calm them down and I'll be right back. And then we can continue heroing or doing what we do. Fighting for the common man. Just by having good conversation and letting people know what's going on in the world, what's our take on it, how we feel. And any other shit that we can come up with to talk about, have some fun with.
All good, man. So what we got going on today, man?
So I think our first topic is what's this Jack Sparrow versus Mara trial.
All right.
Big too. That's going on. I don't know the details. I have not kept up with the trial, but I see people talking about it. Apparently, can I call them by name? I just saw other YouTubers calling them by like initials or whatever.
Yeah. You know, I like the Jack Sparrow and Mara. Like it's universal, but not calling anyone out by name.
Yeah. So I've just heard that Mara is, although she is beautiful physically, her spirit and her mental are fucking ugly, and she's a terrible person. She just spent too much time on land and adopted the terrestrians, what a fucking Earth people, whatever. But yeah, she adopted too many of our fucked up ways, and now she's going after Johnny Sparrow. Going after him, trying to sink his ship, but it ain't happening. He fighting back. So yeah, man, that's all I got on it. Before I give my complete take on the situation, you want to dive in or talk about it?
I mean, I've seen a little bit of the litigation that was going on because I know that Jack Sparrow was I guess he was I don't know if he was suing or countersuing a tabloid paper in London for actually accusing him of being an abuser. And so that's where part of the court cases came out, and you're seeing all the video, you're seeing the audio coming out as well. And so I believe he still lost that case. And I think this is part of, I don't know if there's divorce proceedings or the civil case that he and Mara have going on.
That's what I think has happened. He lost one case, and now they on to the actual divorce. Let's be done with this.
Right. And so that's where you're seeing the audio about how she's saying, you know, tell the whole world what I did because no one's really going to believe you compared to me. You know, you're a pirate and I'm a queen of the sea. No one's really going to believe a pirate over a queen of the sea. Yeah. So it's good.
Make pirates great again. All my guy wanted was his booty. and she made it happen, man. So like, well,
exactly.
Fuck it. Why am I here then if I gotta go through all this trouble just to be treated like a man?
Exactly. And so now it's being it's just been knocked down, drag out, and it doesn't make it any better that because they're public figures, everyone's hearing both sides of the argument, because typically in the situation you are on the whole believe all women kick until the audio comes out of the way Mara's spirit is or the ways that she acts. And you're thinking, this was a terrible person. Why would you marry this type of person? And that goes back to the video that you're making about accountability. Yeah. So it winds up being it's a very precarious situation to be in as a man, especially a man with notoriety, fame, and fortune, when you have someone that's going after your reputation. And because of that, Jack Sparrow can't get on any other ships to pirate. Yeah. You know, and so, right.
My take on it, how I looked at it was, okay, so I'm gonna say a lot of people are like looking at this case and was saying they want Johnny to win. Johnny Sparrow to win. This is a case for men's rights. It's bigger than just him and her. And I'm all for that, most definitely. But they were also saying, like, a lot of women could see this and be like, I can do what she did, and try to capitalize on the situation. But my response to that was, females are doing that every day, all day. So this case is not finna bring about a whole bunch of Amazonians that's out here punching dudes and taking their money and saying, ooh, he a bad person, he did this to me. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Bill Cosby just had it happen to him. I didn't see that trial or know any specifics, but I love Bill Cosby, you know what I'm saying?
So that was actually really interesting because what happened was he was deposed, and the attorney said that anything that you say during your deposition will not be used against you at trial. And so he said everything because under that rule, you can't use what in the deposition in trial. So the attorney turned around and actually used that at his trial. That's why he got convicted.
Yeah.
But that's summarily why they let him free, was because it was he violated a law that says, well, hey, you told him that all this that's going on in the deposition cannot be used in court. So because he used it in court, that's how he wound up in jail. But because he broke the law, they wound up having to actually free him. So that was why it went left one way, and then next thing you know, he winds up being free. So it was a very interesting conversation. It was a really interesting trial to watch for that. So
he admitted to the stuff?
It's kind of hard because I don't know if. So I feel like this. A lot of people want to go with the situations where you have a sexual assault by someone that was intoxicated against someone that was sober and knew what they were doing, right? Mm-hmm. But they usually don't talk about in the case where what if both of them are clearly intoxicated and neither one can consent? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think the way Bill Cosby was playing it was the fact that, hey, I took stuff too. They took stuff as well. Mm-hmm. So what do you do with that? You'd almost have to focus on the ones where you don't know if he took something and you know that he gave her something.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why they only had so many cases that they used to convict him. But the whole thing was built on that deposition that he was informed would not be used against him in court.
Yeah.
So that's
man. They was on drugs. I was on drugs too. We trying to have a good time.
Right. Right. And so that was watching that unfold was completely ridiculous.
All right. So yeah, that was I stand with Bill Cosby. But anyway, back to the other situation or the topic. Yeah, I don't. My issue is Mr. Sparrow. I feel like he put himself into that situation, one that he possibly saw the consequences, ramifications, or whatever, if that had went south. But instead, emotions or whatever, hormones, he allowed himself to stay in that situation, and possibly blind him to this person's actual character. Now I know there are some villains out there who can kind of keep this stuff, masked for a while, but I don't know, like, how well can they do it if you are paying attention? And then just the way that I heard like some other people talking about her, even if she didn't exactly display this behavior to him, she displayed that behavior to the people around them. So I'm not seeing that character, he could have been like, hey, you wild, you know what I'm saying? You tripping, you disrespectful. It could have got out a long time ago. So yeah, my issue with that is justice for Jack Sparrow, but at the same time, young men, especially, but men, don't put yourselves in that situation to where that can even happen. I did say in my video, it almost happened to me. I don't want to give the specifics of it, but me and that person was involved days, at a before that situation happened. So because people knew that, as well as text messages, you know what I'm saying, then it was like, oh, okay, you're not the person. Well, like I said, she had the whole school thinking that I did some things and I was just this terrible man that, me and my toxic masculinity and all this, had me thinking I was terrible. But like I said, after all that, and then some people was like, well, hold on, you know, she kind of wild. And like I said, knew her character, and then as well as the messages and whatnot. So I was kind of clear,
right?
As well as her knowing that she was being a fuck person anyway, like a terrible person. So actual, I'm gonna say legal stuff wasn't brought against me, but nonetheless, it could have.
It could have, yeah.
So yeah, my thing is men need to, I guess, focus on themselves and make sure you good. We always running after pussy and whatnot and trying to get it real quick because a lot of men feel like that's what a man should do.
Right.
Or that's how you prove that you're a man, by how much you can slay and juice and pull and all that. And it's like, no, I told myself at a young age, we still have our issues, but like more pussy, more problems. The more you involve yourself with that, a lot of things come with it that can be long term, with the issues and whatnot. So just be careful about, those situations that you involve yourself in. So yeah, that's my thing. A lot of some women could look at this and be like, oh, okay, cool, we can do what she did. But a lot of men should look at this and be like, I don't need to be fucking with no crazy bitches. All right, get yourself together. Cause I also said in my video, I think Jack Sparrow had, took so much booty, not physical. I'm talking about the financial. Like he had so much that I'm sure he looked at the situation and was like, okay, if something goes south, I'll divorce. She'll get some money, but I got so much, I got this mountain of
treasure
gold over here. Yeah, like it ain't, it's not gonna be such a loss. But the average man doesn't have that luxury.
Not at all.
A lot of men work for everything that they got only to be snatched away from a succubus. So yeah, that's my thing, man. Focus on yourself, get your money up, get work out. You know what I'm saying? Get your body right, get your health together, try to establish your kingdom first, and then the right woman would come along the way, I guess, or you'll just be in a situation to where again you ain't just chasing twat. It'll come to you. See, dogs, give your take on the situation, and I'm gonna go check out, see what's up with them.
You got it. All right. So with my take, it's got about maybe 3 or 4 parts. All right. So first part I would say is from a literary standpoint, that's the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. He says one of the rules is your reputation, guard it at all costs, because it's one of the only things that you can have left. If you've had everything else taken from you before, reputation is going to be paramount because that's the only thing you have left. As far as when it comes to the entertainment world, one of my close friends broke it down pretty easily and said that these people are professional liars. Their job is to portray someone on screen or in the public eye that isn't actually them. So when you have these situations where actors and actresses date or even marry, you don't even know, did I marry that character from his first role in that movie that was super successful, or am I really marrying the person that's behind the camera, the person I'm going to wind up seeing every day? And so in the case with Mira and Jack Sparrow, maybe over time we found out that Mira is actually Cersei, a sorceress and a succubus.
Yeah.
And, maybe over time she found out that Jack Sparrow, is really actually not the pirate that he claims to be.
Yeah, he ain't Robin Hood out here.
He ain't Robin Hood out in these streets, And so from that perspective, you can see how things could probably fall apart a lot slower and we not notice until there's a big blow up that we're seeing on the news and in every other outlet via entertainment. As far as personally, I would say that when I moved to Philadelphia in 2009, I was still pretty much in grad school, and pretty much I started my doctorate when I was 2011. At that point, I was about maybe 25, 26. And so for the most part at this point, I wanted to go out, wanted to shine up my shoes, dance, pull some women, whole nine. Only problem is that most of the friends that I had at this point, if not all of them, were either married or in serious relationships. So I was going solo to all these places downtown Philadelphia at night by myself. And so I actually had a mentor that told me, he said, hey, what do you usually do? I said, hey, I go to these places, I drink till, whenever I feel like I'm done, which could be 2 drinks, could be 6. Doesn't matter. I'll drink until I feel like I'm good. I'll either walk and take the subway home or the L train or I'll call an Uber, pay about $34. Or, if I'm good, I might drive. Dumb stuff in retrospect, because my mentor told me, said, hey, you don't have any rules, which means that if you're the person that I am, I like to dress bold colors. You've seen the stuff that I wear. I like to wear bold colors. I'm king of the line dance. I'm the guy that's bringing everyone onto the dance floor for the Cupid Shuffle, Cha-Cha Slide, all that. Yeah, I'm that guy. And so, that can attract women and men. Let's be real. But what it can also do is you wind up dancing with the wrong woman because, you're just trying to get someone to line dance. She starts talking to you, and then well, that's her boyfriend and the 3 guys that he came with. Now you got a big problem. And so he said, you're going to have to learn some rules so that you don't wind up in a situation like this. So he was telling me that you go anywhere, the maximum was 2 drinks. That's, and that's maybe 1 drink by yourself. You share a drink with her, you buy her around. And then after that, it's club soda and water for you. No more drinking, because you want to make sure that you are sober enough to consent. And you want to make sure that she is sober enough to consent if anything, goes that route. On top of that, he said, hey, make sure you scan the room, no entrances and exits, so that if something goes down that even doesn't involve you, you know how to get out of it. On top of all of that, he said, hey, if you actually are having a good time with a lady, don't go to your place. Always say, hey, I'm good to go back to your place. Don't ever let it happen at your place, because she knows where to find you. She has your address if that happens. And if you wind up going to her place, you have a good time, spend the night. Don't leave her in the dead of night. Wake up, give a kiss goodbye. And then after that, you immediately text her and say, hey, had a lovely time. Would love to do it again. Because what you do not want to happen is you have a good time. You leave her in the middle of the night. She wakes up, you're not there. And now all of a sudden, you know what? Turns out I did not consent to what happened. And now you got yourself in a situation to where the laws are involved. Yeah. So I say all that because those were all the steps that I had to take as rules to follow for myself so that I wouldn't wind up in a bad situation. And so a lot of men that may not have that mentor can be just as reckless as I found out I was being. And, they may not wind up having any trouble, but the only time we hear about these things is when some men find themselves at the wrong place at the right time and not following those rules. Yeah. And so, those are rules I had to put in place for myself because, hey, well, I want to be a doctor. I'm not going to say I'm a medical doctor and I make all this money, but it would put me at a certain percentage above, people that are just working class or that have blue collar jobs. Therefore, like I might have a little bit more to lose if something goes south, and so when you have things you have to protect, you have to actually put rules in place so you don't wind up in that situation.
I hear you 100%. We talking about something serious, but do you see the chat? Do you see that? Okay, I sent you an invite a long time ago to be like a code something. Yeah. Check that out. See if you can. Because this young man's right here, God Fist Martial Arts. Shout out to him. He be checking the videos out. This man be wild in the chat, and I don't know if you be seeing.
Oh yeah, no hocision. Yeah, so yeah, God Fist. That's Justin Ice. That's my mentor. He said no hocision at home base. That was the rule. No host. Yeah, and no number 1 was new bot stuff. Yeah, I can't stand you, man. Justin Ice. I can't stand you. Yeah. Rule number 1 was no butt stuff. No hocision at home base.
No butt stuff.
No butt stuff. No butt stuff. That's rule number 1.
What's hocision?
Oh, that was when you take a pretty lady back to your place. You make the hocision to have sex with somebody, right? That's the hocision. You don't. Yeah, they're technically a stranger because all you know is names and a number, so you don't know anything else. So the hocision is a decision you make to have sex with them. Okay. So we said if you do that, do not do that at your home base, which is where you live. So we said no. He said no hocision at home base. So we said okay, hey. Where you going after this? I'd love to join you. Oh, we're going back to my place. You want to join? Cool. Yes. Your place. So that was where that came from. Yes. That's Justin Ice, AK with God Fist Martial Arts. Yes. That is where we got that rule from. That he gave me the blueprint to follow.
Okay. Understandable. But what about this? you go to your place because you know that's your safe zone. What if you go to her place and then it's a setup where she got somebody there that's waiting on y'all, and then
well, see, that's why you want to be sober.
Okay,
right there, right. That's why you want to be sober, because you want to know what you're getting into. And sometimes you'll wind up noting certain signs. It was like, hey, this isn't such a great neighborhood, or this looks kind of sketchy. But I'm actually clear-eyed and I can actually see where this is going. And so, you know what? I'm out. And there's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, I'm out, because that's why you want to be sober. Because if you're intoxicated, your mind's thinking about one thing, but the rest of your senses maybe trying to tell you, hey, this isn't a great neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Listen to what she's saying. Listen to the inflection in her voice. This could be a setup. Yeah. And so that's why we had to put the rules in place, because we wouldn't want to wind up in a situation like that.
Yeah. It's pros and cons to everything, because definitely like you were saying, man, she know your spot. Especially if she know the city, then she like, okay, we just get right here, and then bam, here his spot. Then she going through that thing, looking around. It's like, okay, this right here, this right there.
Yep.
So she come up with her little master plan, and then at the same time, you go to her spot, then you can like see the state of her apartment or whatever. You can get a feel of the person she is, what kind of weird smells going on. Does she have animals? All that type of stuff. So
exactly.
I definitely think it's pros and cons to everything, but it is nice to at least have a plan and be on your Batman shit to be like, okay, if this don't go right, what are my contingencies? What I'm gonna do about this and that.
Oh yeah,
most definitely. But yeah, I mean, to that, the wrong chick stalks. And then because he said that the wrong chick stalks, man, you can definitely feel or get a sense of a person's behavior, like I was saying, like based off of what they do. Just kind of, I would say to men, don't have the aim of I'm trying to smash every female that I talk to. Treat it like I don't want to say a sport, but like just practice. I guess just practice that gift of gab. Just talking to somebody.
Oh yeah.
Then seeing how it goes, shoot your shot. Okay, I didn't make it with this girl. Let me talk to this one. You get a feel of the type of women, I guess, that you're attracted to, as well as building your confidence. The more wins you get, which I just mean like flirting, like I said, because you can, if you ain't trying to, it's like men have this. I know definitely me, when you don't have the I'm trying to smash. And you just having fun, you have this greater confidence, because you like, win or lose, I'm not trying to get anything out of this. I'm just trying to have the conversation. So by saying that, you can pick up on a person's. After you do enough practice, you can start picking up on social cues and then paying attention to what a person does. So then once you do decide, okay, do I want to take this person home or not? Or do I want to go home with this person or not? You've had enough practice with the opposite sex to kind of their truest self, whatever they allowed you to see, whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I would say that, Chris Rock is like the best comedian that I know when it comes to actual relationships. And one of the things that he said was like, for the first month and a half, you're not meeting the person that you're going to be dating. You're going to meet the representative, which means you're going to get their best representation of their self. Yeah. And so to that end, you might find out when you're in it that you are dating a stalker, and they are hard to kind of hard to discover. And that's actually what happened to me. So, I mean, we were dating, she was saying, hey, I want this. And I said, I told you I don't even want that. And she said, well, I need to rethink things. And I said, well, let me do it for you. We're done.
We're out.
Yeah. And so, there weren't any other communications for maybe 2 weeks. I'm going home after just a regular gym session. It's like 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday. I get a knock on my door and I'm like, who is this? Because no one else really knows where I live that wouldn't talk to me first about saying I'm coming over. And it was her. Like, I had to threaten to call the cops so that she would leave. Ooh. And so that's what I mean. Yeah. And that's what I mean. This is I was only dating her for like 6-7 weeks. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You wanted that thing again. That's why your name Ego, my man's out here.
Yeah. So that's why I say, depending on where it goes, you might find someone in a situation like, oh wow, I did not know that she was this crazy.
Yeah.
And now you're 6 to 8 months in and you're like, I gotta get rid of her. But now she knows where I live, she knows who my friends are, she knows social media, and that is And they get crazy after marriage too.
Yeah, I feel that, man. Like I said, 100%, man. It's be careful, you know what I'm saying? Have your contingency plans, be on your Batman and shit. There's pros and cons to everything. So I guess keep your head on the swivel and go into a situation saying or knowing, I guess not to be like selfish or narcissistic, but what's in the best interest of me.
Yeah.
And your safety, is your best interest, and your mental health is your best interest. So just be mindful of those things before you just be like, I'm about to smash that bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is all I heard from the men around me. Yeah, because when I went to the parties, I was like, I didn't have that in mind, not all the time. I was just trying to get high, get drunk, you know what I'm saying, have fun. I couldn't dance, but I do my little thing, whatever my intoxication would allow me to do. And I just have a good time.
But
yeah, speaking of men handling themselves, all right, and looking out for their well-being, something about ghost guns.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. All right. So I believe it was this past Monday that the Biden administration presented a crackdown on what they called ghost guns. It basically was a rule that they wanted to come up because they wanted to say, hey, we're seeing about 20,000 of these alleged ghost guns being showing up in crime scenes. It said there's the OTF said there's about 20,000 of them that they recovered in 21 alone. They said it was up a tenfold increase since the last 4 or 5 years. So because of that, they wanted to actually ban the manufacture and sale of what they determined ghost guns. So first things first, what the hell is a ghost gun? So I'll use this here. It's pretty much a dummy gun, right? So a ghost gun would be if I actually sold just this lower piece that's here.
Yeah.
Just from here over to here. No frame, no spring, no trigger, no magazine. So if you picture just a box that has just this piece in there with maybe a few pins and what else we got? It's got maybe a few pins and a rail that you'd actually put maybe a light on. And it's basically sold like that for maybe about $300. Excuse me.
Some assembly required.
Right, some assembly required. You maybe have to use a drill bit, I believe, to actually put the rest together. You have to buy the slide, the spring, and the magazine separately. But for about maybe $400 or $500, you can have a fully put together firearm, right? Which is actually great if you don't have enough money to buy that gun that's $600 or $700, especially when the pandemic hit and we saw gun prices go through the roof. So for those that can't afford that gun, this is actually a really good option. So the only other problem with that is that, we'd actually call this an 80% lower. So basically you get 80% of the gun, you got to put together the other 20%, right? Because you have that, there's no serial number on it. So that's why they're trying to call it a ghost gun. So basically it's an unserialized firearm. However, some states say that the minute you assemble that firearm, you actually have to get it serialized anyway. So in some states, it's already illegal to have the gun that's fully operational with no serial number. All right. The other problem is the fact that a ghost gun could literally be a stolen firearm from a legal gun owner or a stolen firearm from a federally firearms licensor, like NARDIS that we go to. Yeah. So basically someone stole that gun from them. And then if the serial number were right here and they filed it off, that's also a ghost gun. So part of the issue that I had with the ATF saying that these are all ghost guns, like that are being made in someone's basement, is the fact that it sounds like it's disingenuous. Because a ghost gun could be a stolen firearm that you filed off the serial number, a gun that you got on the black market that had no serial number to begin with, or a gun you purchased via straw man. Straw man purchase would be like, well, hey, I'm a felon, and because of the law, I'm not allowed to own a firearm. Hey, Abomination Age, this is what I need you to do. I'm going to give you $600. I need you to go buy that gun for me. Fill out the background check in your name so that because you don't have a record, it clears. After you get that gun, I want you to give it to me, who's actually prohibited from owning a firearm. That's a straw man purchase. All three of those things I just told you, theft, black market, straw man purchase, they're all already illegal. And the fact that you said that there are 20,000 ghost guns that have been used in crimes or criminal investigations, the key word is crime. Criminals commit crimes. So we're looking at all these guns committed by people that were already either felons to begin with, got the guns illegally, or stole them. So you're saying, well, hey, it was already illegal to do these things. Now we're going to make it more illegaler.
Yeah.
Right? And so part of the other issue that I have too is the fact that if you're saying that there's economic stratification, there's basically the have and have-nots, right? Mm-hmm. Second Amendment makes us all equal because we have the right to exercise our Second Amendment right, correct? Now, some people say that, hey, I can afford a gun that's $900, no problem. Not everyone can afford that. So if you found out there's a gun that lets you exercise your Second Amendment right for half the cost, and you get to put it together yourself to learn how all the components work, thereby making you a more responsible gun owner, why would you take that away from someone that's legally allowed to have one, wants to get into firearms, but wants to know how they're putting it together so they can learn how the pieces interact with one another and how they work? Mm-hmm. For no other reason than to stop crimes that have already been committed by criminals.
So they're using the actions of the criminal population
right.
to penalize or take more legal action against the regular citizen who, like you said, just trying to exercise their right and just protect themselves at a more affordable cost, or to gain the knowledge of how the firearms work and all that type of stuff.
Right. I mean, I was actually going to buy one of those 80% lower kits so I could figure out how the components worked. Mm-hmm. I mean, we go into the range. I showed you how to clean a gun. So, I mean, how was that experience for you learning the different parts of the firearm?
It was, first off, I'm not a guy that's really into guns, but as you've kind of, showed me some things and I got to experience them, I still definitely respect guns. But it's like, okay, well, if we use them, if this is the level of fucking firepower that everybody's using, I don't want to be a caveman out here fighting fucking aliens. So, it was a great experience to figure out how the gun works. You actually feel more kind of safe around them, knowing that unlike what the media or movies will tell you, you don't just drop them motherfucker and then a bullet come out of it. Oh shit. So cleaning it is like, okay, because I would hear again in movies or whatnot, oh, they just jammed on me, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, well, this is how to prevent a jam, so that when somebody shoots at your ass, you can shoot back efficiently. So to take it apart, I am more knowledgeable of what you mean by like ghost guns now. After you explain all of that, the assembly of a gun, I still can't do it, if you put it in my hand, but as I mess around with it and the more experience a person has with it, the better they are with them, I guess is what
like the more confident you are with because it's your weapon, you might as well know how it functions, and that actually winds up building to, well, if something's wrong with it, can I fix it myself without having to send it to someone else and have them fix it for me?
So to that point, you a lot of people make a whole lot of money off of the ignorance of the public. So, the public just brings them in, like, air conditioning, plumbing, all that type of stuff. Like, those jobs are important because the average person don't know these things. So you take it to an expert or a mechanic or something, and then they do it for you. But you can cut that cost if you just learn how things work yourself and how to fix them in case things go wrong. So to answer your question, it was more knowledge. Therefore, again, more respect to the gun, but also better handling of gun situations, if that makes sense. Like I said, if something go wrong, or just like you was taking me to the gun range and just having access to those people, in case something is out of your league with handling or fixing your firearm or building it, it is good to have access to knowledgeable, respectful people who don't mind helping you out, teaching you something in the process.
Yeah.
So it was cool, man. When you told me we was gonna clean guns, bro, I thought we was about to. I just heard fucking labor. I was like, damn, bro, I just want to shoot some folk. But not some folk, you know what I mean, like the
targets.
But so after doing it, it was like, oh, okay, this is way easier than what I thought. It's nice that I know how to do this now in case something happens with mine. So I appreciate going through that, and it wasn't as hard as I thought or as laborious as I would have thought.
Yeah.
But people, the average person look at a gun and they'll be like, oh wow, like what is this?
Yeah.
How does this work? You know what I'm saying? So to see that it's actually way more simple than I thought it was cool. I fucks with that. I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. So it's like basically just building confidence, especially because they were finding out with all the gun sales that happened during the pandemic, the two largest demographics were minorities and women. And so, with that, you're going to want to actually not just arm yourself, but educate yourself as well for the firearm that you purchase to exercise your Second Amendment right. So the easier you can make it for that access and to actually be knowledgeable in the firearm that you're using, I'm all for it. So anything that's going to be coming against the Second Amendment, you're trying to cut down on crime, but you can't really legislate morality, So if you're already set out to do bad things, it's going to happen, whether it's by a knife, a machete, a ninja star, or a gun. Whatever you have access to, you're going to use. We're not going to ban cutlery because someone got forked at the dinner table.
Yep.
So that's pretty much where I stand on it.
At least not yet.
Man, listen.
Hey. I'm just saying. Man,
Mystery Men was supposed to be a joke movie. You're not supposed to have the forkler just running around saying fork yourself and just throwing them things out like batarangs.
I probably would be tripping right now, but I haven't seen that. I don't understand the reference. I'm uncultured. What is that?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. It's about like a bunch of it's a ragtag group of superheroes that have superpowers that are weird. Like there's one guy that's invisible when no one's watching.
Okay.
Yeah, like one guy just runs around throwing forks at people. He gets them to go around. Yeah, there's a guy that gets angry and he tries to lift things because he's mad. It's like you gotta watch it, man. We're gonna have to make a list of movies you need to see. You have all the 90s stuff, but you ain't watched none of the movies. I have to have you watch it. Like you remember the song All Star? Hey, now you're an all-star.
Yeah, Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth comes from that movie, that and Shrek. Yeah, you got to see it. It's just hilarious. It's basically just like a mockery of superheroes. It was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I've seen it. Rose, if it wasn't animated or some cartoon shit, then my eyes wasn't drawn to it in the 90s.
Yeah. I was like, you remember? Yeah, you watched Kenan and Kel, right?
Yeah.
All right, you remember when Kel was in that movie as a superhero? I'm Becoming Invisible because that was the movie he was in. Okay, God, we gotta watch. I gotta get you to watch that movie. It's hilarious.
I'll check it out.
Okay, all right.
Talk about.
Yeah.
But the reason I did say they not going after the people for the kitchen cutlery yet is the events recently and even now you talking about with these ghost guns. So I will say getting the jab from the
pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, from the Mexican drink virus. It really showed me that, and this goes into our next topic of Elon Musk and the free speech thing.
Yeah,
but I guess I'm the old person now because I'm saying I don't like this new generation, and it ain't even just the younger people; it's some of these older folks too. But I'm really starting to see that people are not confident in themselves to take control of their own life. So anytime that the government says, "Hey, do this; it'll make your life better. You can get back to normal," shit like that. People are just like, okay, give it to me. Daddy government, take care of me.
Yeah.
And any other person that's opposed to what the government is saying, then they're like, I don't have my freedom because of you, or bad things keep happening because of you, as opposed to, if the government just didn't have their hand on a lot of shit, then we wouldn't be having these issues. Like it was one video of a lady who was like, wear your fucking mask, get vaccinated. I don't have my freedoms and all this type of stuff because of you guys. And I'm like, broad, I've been living my life normal as hell since after the first 2 weeks of this shit. So I'm like, ain't nothing stopping you but you.
Right.
And if you got an issue, it ain't with me because I don't know your ass and I ain't breathing your air. It's with the government telling your ass that you can or can't do this. So yeah, people are not in control of their own lives. And it's just gonna keep on happening unless enough people like speak against that shit or speak truth, especially with censorship and a lot of information not being available to the public, or it's being available but they just not looking for it.
Right.
They just accepting what's easy, whatever pop up on fucking Google or Twitter or whatever social media platform. So yeah, freedom of speech is being attacked, and somebody fighting against that, or at least fighting against the freedom of speech being, not free or not being an actual thing, is Elon Musk and his buying of Twitter stock, yada yada yada, all that type of stuff. You want to talk about that situation?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a very evolving situation. I mean, even from the 2 or 3 days that I was looking at it, things have kind of changed even within 48 hours. So what wound up happening is, first, for anyone who doesn't know, Elon Musk is the CEO of Tesla Motors. He's been in that position since 2003. Pretty much he co-founded Tesla. The interesting thing about him is that he actually founded PayPal back in like 99. And so he actually wound up selling PayPal to eBay for like $1.5 billion. So with that and all the acquisitions and inventions, he's worth about like $267.3 billion. So got money pretty much. Yeah. So how did he get involved with Twitter? So he actually made a Twitter poll back on March 25th and was actually asking as an open poll, do you think that Twitter follows the rules of allowing free speech? And so he had about 2 million people cast votes, and 70% of them said no. And so he was actually interested in creating an alternative platform. But when he said this and you look in the replies, people were saying, why don't you just buy Twitter instead? And so essentially, I'm going to have to look at this because he actually wound up buying that stock, that 9.2% stake, back on like March 14th, which is, for math nerds, it's Pi Day. And pi is a mathematical number. And so he actually bought that stock on March 14th, but we didn't find out about it until maybe early April. And so basically I had to look up what all that meant initially when he bought that 9.2% stake, because it was a pretty specific number. Basically, he bought like $3 billion worth of shares, and he did it back on March 14th. And so essentially with him not acquiring over 10%, he was considered basically a passive shareholder, which meant that, hey, you're a passive shareholder, which means you get to vote, be on the board, all those things without actually having to go through all this extra paperwork that you would if you bought more than that 9.2%. And so that's basically why everything seemed to happen so fast once it was announced, because he had what was considered like a low passive shareholder stake. And so once he did that, he actually triggered a lot of liberals, which was weird because for someone that invested so much in clean energy with electric cars, wanting to actually promote free speech and open dialogue, it was weird that liberals were the ones that were so triggered by someone that seemingly would have the ideals that they espouse they'd want in someone that has as much influence as he does. And so, everyone from Ben Shapiro and Jeremy from the Quartering and the conservative circles, they loved it because they said it was be a champion for free speech and allowed to be more open. And so this is actually someone that's worth the money, putting his money where his mouth is. So what wound up happening is once he bought that stake in Twitter, last Sunday, he was actually supposed to be announced as one of the board members, but he pulled out. So everyone speculated, like, what could that mean? They were like, oh, that means he might want to buy it outright. So because Twitter's actually public, you can actually buy up shares to make it that you have controlling interest. And so the reason why everyone freaked out when he pulled out was because part of that 9.2% stake said that he couldn't acquire more than 14% of Twitter for like 2 or 3 years. And so once he pulled out of that deal, well, nothing's holding him back from taking more and more shares to get more and more ownership of the company. And so that's why a few days ago, he wound up offering about, I think, $43 billion to buy Twitter outright. And so pretty much everyone that you would think from the liberal side freaked out about that because, oh my God, this person that's espousing free speech is actually going to buy Twitter. And I don't know, he's going to bring Donald Trump back on. I think that's the main fear, is that they think he'll bring Donald Trump back on after he was banned. Yeah. So pretty much all the big wigs at Twitter on the board actually enacted something called a poison pill. Basically, what that means is they allowed other shareholders that had more of a, I think more than 15% stake in Twitter to buy additional shares so that at a discount so that they could have more ownership of Twitter. Thereby it would kind of undercut the bid that Elon Musk had to buy Twitter outright. So I know it sounds kind of complicated and winding, but that's where we are, and the reason this kind of sucks overall is because someone that actually was going to promote free speech and to allow dialogue on both sides was going to actually own Twitter and make it private, which, would have been seen as a big win in libertarian and conservative circles.
Right now I'm looking up that that's how these folks talking about he's attacking free speech and whatnot. Mm-hmm. There was this he's actually fighting for free speech.
Right.
They also saying that this man buying Twitter is going to like bring the downfall of the democracy or the government or all this type of shit. Yeah. Just everybody's world just being flipped. But you kind of see that there's a lot of these blue check marks on Twitter, which I'm going to say I can't really say that I care too much because I just got a Twitter a couple of months ago.
You made me get one, man. I'm still mad at you for making me get one, but I got one so we can promote the show. So I understand the feeling.
So I got mine just to, promote the show, promote my content because, I started my channel and then we started doing this. But because the people I would watch on YouTube or content creators to talk about all the shit going down on Twitter, monetizing your haters on Twitter. So I was like, okay, let me get in on some of these Twitter conversations and go be an asshole. But, it's fun. But as I'm there, now I'm actually seeing all the dumb shit that I hear people talking about. Right. And how these people just, like I was saying, like daddy government just doing everything for them. These blue check marks on Twitter saying like Elon is attacking this, gonna be the downfall of that, yada yada yada. But I want to say that's kind of it's fucked up because, like I was saying, these people are not being able to take control of their own lives. You really see that these blue check marks, these legit people or whatever, how they are the ones who are actually attacking free speech. Because I saw a lot of content creators, talking about the pandemic and how YouTube or Twitter will deem something misinformation when they giving factual, stuff that we can see on like CDC website, or saying things that people realized later on to the pandemic after people with common sense kind of already, kind of thought about or had questions. But just by people questioning, you would see that, oh, okay, you can't ask those questions, or when you're talking about that, you know what I'm saying? Just eat whatever we feed you. So it's like you see that the attack on free speech had already been happening. So again, people with common sense started to realize, oh, okay, you're not afraid of free speech. You're afraid of not being able to control the conversation.
Right. And those are usually the people that say that they want dialogue or they want to keep the discussion going further.
Yeah, or going in the direction that they wanted to go, or to allow people to come to the conclusions that they want them to have.
Right.
And that goes like to my point of people wanting the government to like take care of them. It's like you see these people wanting to, I guess, just hear these same talking points or hear They just want to hear their opinions being, repeated back to them. They want to be in these echo chambers. They want to feel like, okay, the world is kittens and bunnies, and everybody around me loves me, and my safe space, creating those safe spaces or whatever. But it's like that's not the real world.
Not at all.
And if you only hear those thoughts as soon as somebody challenges that, or you hear opposite, then those people are what they've been told. They're they're phobes. They hate you because they don't think the way that you think. Especially when they see a black person thinking opposite of what what's taught that black people think. It's like, oh my God, this nigga's internalized racism. Like, let me save this poor black child. He shouldn't be thinking the way that he thinks. And I'm like, yeah, you just start to realize that the world is not what it actually seems on social media, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that because you can make people think a certain way, or if you can tell them who the enemy is, then any action acted upon those people is justified because those people are terrible. But they're only terrible because they think different, and unfortunately, it's because we just use common sense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I guess if everyone was really counting, a lot of conservatives and libertarians were really counting on Elon Musk to buy this outright and take it private, was because even though they would say, some leftists or some progressives got kicked off of Twitter, for the most part, a lot of conservatives en masse were kicked off of Twitter and had to actually find alternative tech like Gab, Minds, or Parler, which isn't really anything anymore, or even True Social. And so by doing that, you actually wound up making them have an echo chamber for themselves, when all they wanted was the right to actually be able to have discourse with people on the main platform. No one really wants to have to use alternative tech when tech that everyone uses via Twitter is there. We can actually have the discussions we're talking about, because I'll tell you this, if Elon Musk took over Twitter, I'm repeating what Jeremy from the Quartering said. I don't think a lot of leftists would really leave. The general common man wouldn't leave. They'd complain about it and say how terrible this is for democracy, but I'm going to fight the good fight, so I'm going to stay on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so the conservatives that would have been banned for the wrong reasons would have been allowed to be back on there, and then you actually get the opinion of the actual common person instead of just creating more of a leftist echo chamber that doubles as a cesspool.
And once you're around people, which in the real world, you're around people that don't agree with you, so you can have those conversations. I think I said on this podcast that I had Trump derangement syndrome, not enough to hate the man, but still my thoughts of he's a puppet of the government and they're gonna do whatever they can do to control us. I definitely believe that. But I never looked at anybody that voted for him as like, oh, you're fucking racist, you're terrible, or all that type of stuff. I was just like, once I actually got around those people that did, it happened when I came here to Texas, but I was just like, okay, I hear terrible things about this Trump person. You don't seem like a terrible person, so why did you vote for him? And then they would tell me, give me their opinions and whatnot. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's like, whether or not I agreed or disagreed, you are still a cool person. Right. So, I don't have to look at you or attack you just because you think different. As long as we have each other's best interests, at heart, and we ain't trying to hurt each other, then it's like our world gonna continue on. Because then, regardless of who's in office, if the government decides to be tyrannical, it's like your neighbor is the one that you're going to have to depend on. So, like as long as you got good people around you, regardless of how they think, as long as y'all can, come together on what's most important, that's all that matters. But yeah, these people online, I was telling you about this conversation or where I was talking on this post where DC Pride or some shit, which is not even fucking May. Pride is in June. And my birthday is in June. So all of June, all I got to see is just gay shit everywhere, like gay this, gay that. And I'm like, I don't really give a fuck about my birthday too much, no way. But it's like, well, damn, now you're making me like not look forward to the month. Because of all this shit happening. My world don't stop, but it's just like it's just like, damn, what I'm saying? Rainbows everywhere and whatnot. But yeah, so DC had this whole pride thing, and it was Kid Quick, that black non-binary Flash person, and some other brown people around him that had like Flash gear or garb on. And I commented, I said, stop using my skin color to push your narrative. I said something else. I forgot what I said, but it wasn't.
That was the main point.
Yeah, but then I said we need nuclear families with a patriarch more than ever. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And so people came in, of course, they had issues, and this, of course, I got attacked, but it's like the ratio of common sense folks to these people was kind of off. It was a bunch of them that came and attacked me, and it was a couple of people that came and was like, facts, we feel what you're saying.
Right.
Do that. Right. This one dude came in and took it too far. He was using the F slur, the baguette rhymes with maggot. He come in saying that, and I'm like, I'm not responding to this dude. I'm not defending this dude whatsoever. He a man. He can handle his own shit. I was just speaking on me, and because these people responded to me. Right. But this one person came in talking about, do you only use the tactics of the alt-right? And he said, and said, why are you whining about and why are you whining about gays? And I was like, do you only use the tactics of the radical left? I was like, you came in aggressive calling me motherfucker. I put MF. He put MF and I put MF. And then I said, and then you telling me I did something which I actually didn't do. I never complained about, gays, but you want to put it in quotes like I did. And then he was like, why do you have issues with representation? So I was like, so I said what I said. And then I was like, gays are already in comic books, but you wouldn't know that because you don't read.
You don't read comic books. Exactly.
And so his response was, I forgot what his response was, but again, I didn't say anything crazy to this person. He was saying I was talking crazy. I was like, bro, you called me motherfucker and like all this type of shit. Yeah. So after I kind of proved to him, or with my comments, that you're the aggressor, you're the terrible person right now, and I'm just kind of responding, not at your level. I'm just responding. Then I see the person deleted all the comments. And that was funny because, I was trying to go back to the conversation and show you. And I was like, hold on, something's weird. I'm old as hell. I don't know how social media works. So I'm like, am I doing something wrong? This is how you go back. And the other person in the conversation, he was like, hold on, what did this person say? And I was like, I don't know, and I can't find it. And I said, but that's funny because usually when you tell a crazy leftist this, they just double down. They just go harder. I said, but this person just said fuck it and ran and deleted the comments. So I was like, you know what? I'm not saying I kind of changed this person's mind or anything, but it really made me feel like once I kind of proved to that person that you're just repeating the same mistakes as that group, and I'm actually not doing anything negative. I'm having a conversation and we talking about points. I think that person saw like, I was being, a little shit. I was being a terrible person and wanted to delete the evidence. So that goes back to the echo chambers that these people create, because he was telling me that I was using foul language, but he came in calling me motherfucker. These people don't realize that they're saying crazy shit because I guess that's how they speak amongst each other.
Or how they describe the opposition.
Yes, because we speak like that, but if you're going into a conversation respectfully, you don't use those terms. You save it for people and know are not going to take it that way. But once I don't know you and you hop online saying shit, you coming at me with an energy that I could go off on your ass right now, but I'm not. I'm gonna keep it right here to show I'm better than you. You're the terrible person now. So that's what happened in this whole free speech thing. And like these people are saying one thing, but I don't really think they understand that they have it, and what they're advocating for is not free speech, it is controlled speech. So when you can control a population so much, like changing the way we fucking see things, like not knowing what women are at the time, it just lets me know that we're on a path to destruction. And whether it's inevitable or not, the best chance that we have is for more people to speak truth, to use their freedom of speech, and go hard on these folks for the dumb shit that they doing.
Yeah, you almost can be forced to at a certain point. I know that people would rather be, the silent majority, but I mean, at a certain point, you're going to be forced to speak. They're either going to tell you your silence is violence, or you're actively saying things against insert group here.
Yeah.
And so as a result, you're almost going to have to be involved in things you may not even want to be involved in, period. I mean, I really didn't care for politics at all, but it didn't change that by 2020 when I had to vote in Pennsylvania. I looked up every congressional district that I had to personally vote in to figure out whether or not the person was going to, number one, earn my vote, and how that was going to affect me if they got elected, because a lot of people don't like things happening to them, but they don't necessarily want to take an active part in preventing being a victim. It's almost like it's great to be a victim, but not necessarily arming yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically to guard against an attack.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, Justin Ice, Godfist, the guy that's making the comments on here, he was the one that said, hey, look, the type of person you are, people that either mean you harm or that don't have your best interest at heart or just want to take advantage of you, they're going to approach you. Mm-hmm. You're a very nice, non-threatening black guy. And, you're going to have a lot of people that are either going to want to take something from you or get you into something that you're not even going to want to be in. Mm-hmm. So I had to read, 48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, Art of War, Seduction. I had to read all these books to arm myself mentally, because it is a jungle out there. You have to have your friends, your homies, they're your tribe. Those are your warriors, because if things go down, you're going to have a situation where it's back to back, us figuring out who's friend from foe and then fighting from there.
Yeah. As far as you talking about like fights that we are involved in that we don't want to, or not necessarily want to be involved in, or things happening and people just like, I'm just sit back and it's going to take care of itself. I think we all think like that to some degree, or about some things. It's just like, you know what, I'm going to just stay in my lane and things will take care of themselves. Which I guess you could say has been happening, because America is fucking great. We live in a great place. Like, we all have the same rights and all this type of stuff. So, we have these opportunities to be greater if we put in the work. But the things that are happening now, like, I would have my thoughts, but then I was just like, hold on, they're attacking this person, they deplatforming this person, yada yada yada, and I'm just like, the world is going to shit, or at least our country for the most part, and I'm feeling passionate about it. Now, it happened, or I started seeing it through media, through the content that I consume. And one thing I definitely believe is, the Lord, they said the Lord speaks to you in mysterious ways. I'm like, I think God gonna get his point across however he can. So whatever you're involving yourself in, he will find ways to speak to you through that. So as I'm seeing, these agendas being pushed in like the comic book movies, more so the MCU, that's really when I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And then you start seeing how politics is backing this shit up and legalizing all of this gay shit. And, not saying not giving them rights, they should have rights. They're people too, but you know what I'm saying? Like, all again,
over-representation,
all that. So now it's like, okay, this shit is happening across the board. And because it's so heavy in what I'm talking about, or my things, the things that I love, now I definitely need to speak on it. So you find yourself, so it's like, at what point, you know what I'm saying, are you going to enter the fight, or at least speak out against the weird shit that's happening? So yeah, I'm a testament to that. We try to sit back and just chill and hope it solves itself, but got drag queen story time, you know what I'm saying, in kids' schools, and people attacking this bill, calling it the Don't Say Gay bill, but it don't say that at all, and it's simply saying it, or pro-parent, like, anything go down in the school, parents need to know about it, and these explicit conversations don't need to be happening. And if a kid do come in, it say a whole lot of stuff, but it don't say what these people are trying to attack it for. But you see people just running with that narrative and going hard, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, you see the path that the United States is on right now, and it's entering everywhere. like Young Ripper said, like the left played the long game. They took over, they were scrolls and they went into politics and I mean in culture, and they took over that, acting like, oh yeah, we like this nerd shit like you guys, and superheroes that. And then they like, okay, now we can start doing what we want to do it. You know what I'm saying? We got the attention, and then you see politics change as a result. Because the average person don't know no politician or none of these people, especially at like a local level. But as soon as they see somebody that they know that's famous say, hey, I'm voting for this person. This person is fighting for us. Then they're like, oh, okay, you vouch for them, so I'm gonna go on and put my vote in.
Right.
So that's what I see right now. People not thinking for themselves. They're just being in their echo chambers, and these celebrities and elites or whatnot are pushing the narrative, and the world is just fucking following.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of where everything is. And people usually don't want to involve themselves in a fight, but with certain groups in the liberal and progressives, they will fight you. And so you almost wind up having to act or react accordingly. And so it gets to the point where, I mean, especially with comics, it was just so that comics was such a really small and niche market. And usually, whether you were an outcast or, you played D&D or you weren't the most social person, you could always escape in your comics. And so when you saw a bunch of strangers that were better looking than you, had more money than you, cooler than you, saying, oh my God, I love comics, we didn't ask any background check questions.
Yeah.
They're like, man, I love Iron Man. We didn't ask, well, I mean, the movie or the comic book, which version? We were just so excited that someone liked what we were into. And so no one did a background check, or no one did, what they call gatekeeping. And so we let all these celebrities and people that had differing opinions in and didn't ask any questions. So when they said, well, why does it have to be the X-Men? There are women in there. You're like, well, I mean, language would generally dictate that when you have men and women, you go by the collective men on there. Like, that's just how the language was supposed to work. Well, why do you have to believe that with language? Don't you know that? And you're like, whoa. And now by the time you're looking at, that's the CEO or the president of Disney that's running everything for the movies and the entertainment you're going to get is saying that, which means because they've got this thought process and they got plenty of cachet within the company, they can do whatever they want with the character that you love. And so by the time you realize it, you're like, oh no, I can't participate in this anymore. And it's a shame because I really enjoyed it because they actually were either staying true to the lore, or they brought a character that was from the comic book base to the big screen. That's hard to do. They got the right actor, but I can't support the way you're making this character out to be for you and for the people that want this to be popular.
Yeah.
And we talked about that like in episode 4. It's just, I don't need your therapy or your soapbox to be my character. I purchased the content that made sure that character was still going on when comic book sales were lagging. Or I was the one that bought 4 or 5 copies or got my friends interested in that character for the movie that we're all going to see.
Yep.
And so for you to turn around and just say, well, I'm going to put my political spin on this character because wouldn't it be great if this character XYZ? No, that's not the character. That's something new. That's someone new. And if you really felt that way about a character and you were that impassioned, you create one yourself or use a character that actually that checks those boxes for you without having to race swap another one or, steal a story from another character and then put them on the big screen and say, look what I did.
So at what point, I talked about me seeing these things and was like, hold on, this shit is in, this stuff heavy, specifically the MCU. But during the time of the MCU, that's when I've always read comics growing up. But when I actually went hard into trying to collect comics, because before I like check them up from a library. But like when I was like, okay, let me find actual stories that I like and collect those. That's when I saw the pushing of all the colored characters and the strong women and whatnot. So at what point did you kind of check out or see like, okay, this is something different from what I'm used to from my comic. There's something else here. At what point did you pay attention to that. And
So I mean, you talk about like just in comic books or in like the media's adaptation of the comic books? Because I mean, it was two different points.
You tell me, because at the time that I got into comics, the MCU was happening.
Okay.
So, but I'm pretty sure this was in the works in the comic books before then. So, because you're so heavy into them, when did you see it?
I mean, comic books wise, it was probably when the New 52 came out, which I think had it been 2011 or 2013, one of the two.
So,
so basically, 2011 is probably 2011.
Because that's when I got into them, and unfortunately, that was my first introduction into long stories from DC. It was the New 52.
Okay, that's probably
And as I'm reading them, I was like, "Oh, this shit's trash." And little did I know, actual comic book fans are like, "Bro, that shit's trash."
It's being trash, right?
Nah,
right. So, so basically, they with sales lag, I think they use the New 52. They use the Flashpoint Paradox movie, the Flashpoint Paradox comic, where Flash goes back in time, saves his mom, and then mess up the timeline. They use it to reboot the entire DC line of things. So when they came up with New 52, you're like, oh, I'm going to read Superman because, Superman, Lois Lane, Daily Planet. And there was like, no, Superman and Lois are not together. Superman's going to be dating Wonder Woman, and he doesn't work at the Daily Planet. Like, wait, what? Oh, well, in this one, Barry doesn't know, not Iris, but I think it's Iris, yeah. Barry doesn't know Iris yet. Wait, what? They're not together? No. And, Arthur is not with Mira. They're not even dating yet. And so you saw the deconstruction of the families that were supposed to be one of the top couples in DC. And I was like, why would you do this? Because, just because you think you can get more readers to jump into these comics and buy the number one issue and think like they've got this holy grail of the number ones, people that have been reading comics aren't going to stand for this kind of a reset. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I mean, there were some good storylines in New 52. I actually have a few trades from that line because, the Red Hood and the Outlaw storyline was really great. So I'm not saying that the total New 52 line was trash. It's just the fact that, taking out Wally West and then making him black, that was an issue. One of my favorite characters, you race swapped him for no other reason than just fill a quota. And so when they started doing things like that, comic book wise, it was like, I'm not sure I like where this is going because there's no need for these characters to be here. As much time as you put into making Wally West black, everyone that was black that had read comics or even watched comics cartoons was like, where's Static Shock? He got a 6-issue run, but they moved it like, oh, he doesn't live in Dakota City anymore. He moved to Harlem because apparently all people that are black have to just move to Harlem. Yeah. He doesn't have his father. It's just his mother and his sister, which means it's a single parent household. And you're like, that's the trope I'm not going to want to read. Yeah. And so as far as comics wise, that's where I saw that. As far as movies, I was all on board with Iron Man. Loved it. Like my dad and I loved it. We watched almost every separate Avengers standalone movie, like Thor, Captain America. We watched all those up until maybe Avengers. It was pretty good. I would say from Iron Man to Avengers, all solid movies, no real agenda pushing. But by the time you're looking, at maybe Rise of Ultron, around that time, a robot being political, saying humans are just basically trash, you shouldn't exist. You're like, okay, whatever. It's the robot built on domination, but
I didn't have issue with that, but I didn't know Ultron as a character.
Right.
So I would admit to that.
Right. That's fair. I mean, that it's just, okay, well, you do realize if you destroy creation, then you may not exist. Yeah. Is the thinking behind it. But yet it's supposed to be this super intelligent supercomputer, but he's going to do something dumb like blow up the earth. But it sounded like, hey, you poison the earth. You don't treat it well. It's like, oh, okay, you're starting to push the whole agenda thing that we're terrible people in destroying our environment. So I could barely get through Civil War. It was awful. It was a bastardization of the actual comic book. You introduced Spider-Man, which was a cheer moment for them to actually get the rights from Sony to share, because you got to see what Spider-Man would be like in the MCU. Only problem is we got what we wished for, which was this irritatingly annoying Spider-Man that I could not stand. Yeah. So I pretty much checked out after that point, and I only watched. My friend made me watch Black Panther. That's another story. He's a cinephile, so he likes to see all the movies. Okay. Fine, I saw Black Panther, but after Endgame, I completely checked out, and that was because at that point it was 10 years in the making. I want to see the end of this, so I know that for myself. This is the end. I'm not gonna really pay attention too much to comic book movies that are popular because people made them popular, because once you're that popular, you're beholden to, the political aspirations or political thought leanings of the person that's going to be making or starring in the film. And at that point, if you can't separate them, that this is actually art, we don't really care for your politics. We like the way you portray the character and the story you made. But if you're putting them together and saying that they're inseparable, I'm out.
Yeah. So my point, and it's funny that you said like 2011, you saw with the New 52, because I think the MCU started, I think it was like 2000. Was it 2008? It was somewhere around that time with the Iron Man and then the whole
around.
And that's funny because while they was creating this great phase 1 of the MCU and had actual comic book readers invested, because there was no pushing of agenda. It was just them creating their story. And I would give them, I give them the justification of this is a Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's like they made changes then that I was like, okay, I fucks with it, because you're not really changing these characters in their origin so much that they're not themselves.
Right. Not immediately recognizable. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, we understand that this is a movie. You got to kind of change some things up. So you do you. But we were still invested. But the point when I checked out was it was Spider-Man Homecoming. So Civil War came, and this is where I do disagree with you. No, I disagree that Civil War was just a complete. So it was a bastardization of the comic. I have this conversation with a lot of people, or this argument that Civil War was nothing compared to the actual comic. And then we didn't get to see any of these characters, or people want to talk about Spider-Man was introduced. We didn't get to see the mature Spider-Man in that movie that we should have gotten. We did get that kid. But I do appreciate that Civil War was, it was a story that connected past events to the present. And they worked with what they had built up. So I actually like Civil War. I honestly think that that's my favorite movie from the MCU. And even with Spider-Man at the end, although he was a kid, and you kind of see him like, what's up, Mr. Stark? And like, oh, you got a metal arm and all that. Like, you saw that childish shit from him. But I was like, they still showing like his strength. So when he had to hold up that shipping container, when he did catch the arm, or he was handling Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was like, although he's immature, they're still giving us a piece of what he's capable of.
Power set,
And I thought we was going to get a more mature Peter in his movies. They just used this to introduce him. But like you said, Homecoming, fuck no. But I went in like, oh my God, Spider-Man, this is my favorite superhero. I'm about to see this movie. It's about to be dope. And I was so blind that, like Spider-Man Homecoming was about him going to a fucking homecoming dance,
Right.
And Michael Keaton's Vulture was the best thing about that movie. He was fucking perfect. But you did see the identity politics, because even when the movie was introduced, I was still looking at it like they didn't race swap Peter, they race swapped the people around him.
Yeah.
So I was like, who the fuck are all these brown people in this movie, and why are they here? So that plus seeing how they handled him, and how there's no Uncle Ben, he just got this slightly attractive aunt. So I was like, okay, they pushing the woman with her, they taking the man out the equation, and they're replacing him with Iron Man. And then Iron Man tells him in the movie, like, well, if you're nothing without this suit, then you don't deserve it.
You gave him the suit, though.
Yet you give him the suit, and we never see him without a Stark product, throughout his whole movie career. So the bastardization of Spider-Man was what took me out. Edward Norton was my favorite Hulk.
Oh yeah, he was really good.
And seeing that Hulk again, bro, like the setup, we could have seen great Spider-Man from Civil War and seen him mature. Because in Civil War, that's when, for a lot of people that don't know, he did side with Iron Man. But after seeing the links that Iron Man's side was going to win or to get their point across or to do what he was thinking was right, Peter was like, hold on, bro, we're doing too much. We're not exactly being heroes anymore, and we're attacking our own. So you see him leave, switch sides, left that fucking that suit. He was like, fuck all this shit. And then you see them attack Spider-Man because he's a traitor. We can't let him get away. And then he sides with Captain America in the fight for freedom. And then Captain America saying I think some people was coming to Captain America you Captain America, you supposed to be part of the government, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, nah, fuck all that. I'll fought for freedom, you know what I'm saying? For choice, for people to do what they want to do. As long as we ain't hurting nobody, and this ain't that. So I was like, okay, I respect them so much for that, and I was so invested in that story. So although Civil War was not the comic, it still was great for an MCU version of Civil War for what they was doing. But then after that, and then no Edward Norton's Hulk, which that Hulk was, he was more competent than the Hulk that we got in the MCU with Mark Ruffalo. Yeah. And then, like I told you already, that Thor Ragnarok movie, and that's where we could have had Edward Norton's Hulk being a fucking threat, being a, I guess like a general or another level-headed character to a certain degree that was actually effective on the team, as opposed to this big temper tantrum throwing green monster that we saw. So them fucking bastardizing the Planet Hulk story, which hurry up and read.
Yeah. I will.
But yeah, seeing that and with the identity politics. So I told you how they didn't have Kyra in the story, which they could have had. They could have had a strong female right there, but instead they gave us a Black Valkyrie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Valkyrie a love interest of Thor for a time?
I think so, yeah.
So instead of having her as that, because they introducing Jane Foster or whatever, so it's understandable, but you're not making her a love interest, and you're going as so far as to making her, I guess, gay, because Tessa Thompson talking about we get to see that in this next movie, but you got a Black Valkyrie. So they checked two boxes with that one. We're gonna make her gay and we're gonna make her black. Yeah. As well as having Hela in there, who was actually Loki's daughter. Yep. But I guess that would have put a man over a woman, so they couldn't have that. So they made her the more powerful sister of them two. And so yeah, just seeing all that shit, that's when I checked out of the whole MCU, and I didn't pay for another MCU movie after those. I think during Homecoming or Planet or Thor Ragnarok, I actually went and saw another movie. But once that movie was over, I snuck into the movie to see one of those. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'm glad I didn't pay for this shit. Fuck it. So that was my point when I checked out of the MCU and saw all this shit happening. So ever since then, bro, I don't care about anything Marvel. Infinity War was fine. It wasn't great. I think it was just because you see all the heroes and then seeing them fight the big bad. It's like what you said. We just wanted to finish the story. What a lot of comic book readers do. Let us just finish the story so that we can say, all right, we seen it beginning to the end. I read it. Yep. It was good. It was bad or whatever, all right, fine. That's done. Put it on the shelf and, So yeah, that's when I was checked out, and then this Disney Plus shit happened, which I had Disney Plus for a while, but I had Disney Plus to watch all the fucking Disney movies. Like I said, I'm watching the Lion King and Tarzan and Lilo and Stitch. Classics. I got to watch all the princess movies I didn't watch growing up because I was like, I gotta, be knowledgeable of this shit. But that's what I got it for. And the Dinosaur Show, the sitcom.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but other than that, I was like, fuck all this superhero shit. It could have been great, I don't want to take up all the time. You want to hop in?
No. I it's good to know kind of where people that just wanted to get in, that enjoy it, at what point it was too much for them to want to can go any further.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, you do represent someone that was interested in something, and, it's got a long history. So great. I feel welcome being in this, and I'm here for the classics. You wanted to watch Disney movies, just all the classics, which is enough, because you're saying, well, I'm willing to spend, X amount per month just to listen and watch the shows that I grew up in my childhood. That mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to say, well, hey, I got a piece of my childhood back that I can watch whenever I want. But, it's trying to figure out, for someone that actually enjoys that, what's the cutoff line between you're adding too much. I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
If you had Disney Classic and like, hey, it's half the cost, and all we do is show you all those movies that we used to put in the vault, we'd have it on.
Right,
like I just want Disney Classic. Give me 1960 Zorro. Throw some Old Yeller in there. Lion King, Cinderella, The Rescuers, all those. If you give me that, and I don't have to watch any of the new stuff, I'd gladly pay for something like that, because I'm not paying for agenda pushing that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's wondering, it's like, well, hey, if they ever offered you that, would you pay for Disney Classic?
No, fuck no. I'm done.
You're done. Oh, you're done. Okay.
I just go on Walmart, and because they brought growing up, they say we was going into the Disney vault, and I was like, fuck, I gotta buy this movie before it's never released again. But now you see motherfuckers in Walmart for $9.96. So I'm like, shit, I just popped up, grab those DVDs and build my fucking Disney
collection.
Because I had all the movies on VHS growing up, and like a dumbass, I gave them away.
No,
I gave them away because I was like,
okay,
we got DVDs now.
Yeah,
they probably super valuable now, but it's like I had to give those away. But now I need to collect them all over again, because although they give them to you on Disney Plus, they can easily censorship. They took away.
Okay. You're right.
Maybe Peter Pan. Yeah, they took Peter Pan away because he had the Native Americans in there. They took away Dumbo because the racist
crows.
Yeah. So like you see that although this shit is on streaming, if it's purely internet, they can take it away real quick. So yeah, I'm just like, fuck all that. And then
I see what you mean.
So I'm not trying to support this company even more, and I don't give a shit if Disney dies. Because Disney is what it meant to me in the movies that I grew up with, which I own now. So, that's all I need.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Now, Disney Plus was a great idea because, like with the Spider-Man situation, if you want to give me young Peter Parker, young Spider-Man, I would have rather seen that on Disney Plus and see his
as a show.
Yes, and then you introduce a more mature Spider-Man
in the movies. Yeah, that's fair.
So the agenda pushing that they doing, first of all, they don't have to push an agenda. But if they wanted to introduce these new characters, they should have left them on Disney Plus. Let us grow with them, evolve their stories while keeping the MCU like it was, with like phase 1, maybe phase 2, to where it was just great comic book shit. And then we would have seen those characters, or we could at least differentiate between the two. And then you see these characters earn their place amongst the ranks
on the team. Yeah.
In the movies. And then we go watch the movies, which you watch Disney Plus. It'll incentivize you to get invested, to spend that money. And then you definitely want to see the movies, because now you want to see what happens with these characters, or you want to see them next to the heroes that you did, that you grew up with, because you kept them pure, and then like you kept them separate. But now you seeing that they just race swapping characters, like with the MCU. Or speaking on that again, I had Spider-Man and the Hulk that I knew and loved, but the first 2 phases of the MCU had me invested in fucking Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah,
I didn't give a shit about them characters at all, but seeing how they was handled in the movies, I was like, hey, these dudes dope. Yeah. I want to go read their comics. But then when I go to the store, I see fucking Sam Wilson as Cap. Or I see Riri as fucking Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or Ironheart. So it's like, bro, if if these companies are what we think they are, like they just interested in the money, they could have gotten so much money if they would have just stayed true to the source material. Us comic book nerds would have been watching those movies, and like you said, we would have got our friends to go see the shit. We would have been saying them multiple times because we love them. They would have got all that money plus that normie money. But now they're just trying to pander to an audience that they think is going to get them rich. But those people ain't buying comic books, and they only watch the movie because it's hot, because people are talking about it. So as soon as this shit dies out, they're going to be like, oh, fuck the movies. And then all of us comic book nerds are going to be like, fuck all this shit all together because you can just shit.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not only that, it's the fact that now they're trying to actually say we're using the source material by using characters that were created like in 2018. So I don't even know if you know who Naomi is.
Nope.
Okay. All right. The guy, basically, the same guy, Brian Michael Bendis, that created Miles Morales, created Naomi, right? I really don't even care about the character, so I won't even, you know what's bad if I don't want to tell you the backstory of a character because I hate the character so much. But she got her own book. Basically, she got one trade, maybe 6 or 7 issues that they put together to be one trade, right? Why are they making a show about this on the CW? And why is it running off of one volume? Because the great part about characters that are established, that have a canon back history, is the fact that you can go through different arcs, trades, sagas, the whole bit. You've got so much material before you even run out. So that, to your point, if you stuck with the source material, you're never going to run out of an episode, a movie, a saga, or a trilogy.
Yep.
Right? But by saying, oh, we're using the source material, this person's black, but they're actually, they were black. So we're not race swapping anything. It's just the character. Well, the character only has one volume, which means it really wasn't successful because no one wanted issues 7, 8, 9, or 10. So why are you taking a low-selling comic book, investing millions in it, putting it on TV, and then expecting not only normies to watch it, but people that actually read comics to want to watch it?
Yeah.
When you've actually got characters that are black, that don't have a storyline that could be put on a TV screen or a movie. Static Shock has been sitting collecting dust for over 20 years in terms of a movie that you could have made from that. Now that they're considering making it, I don't want to see it because you're going to flip the Bang Babies how they came to be. You're going to make it actually about protests instead of about gang violence, which is actually more of a real life situation. So, they're trying to be subtle about pushing the agenda by saying, oh, we're actually using the source material. But this source material is actually trash and no one reads it, which is actually going to probably further decline comics for the rest of us, because if they can't deem the show profitable enough to spin off the comic book sales rather than actually spinning off the movie from the comic book itself, not vice versa, which is what they're doing, you're going to actually have the industry implode because no one's going to want to read comics at all. Yep. Not even new or fresh ones, because all they're going to say is, okay, what's the agenda? What's the actual race of this character from the original? What movie you trying to prepare me for, to where if I get invested, you're going to change things in the sake of diversity or the message. You're just going to want to throw your hands and quit it altogether and leave a hobby that you actually invested a lot of time, money, and friendships in.
Yeah, that's what I've done, and I feel I have no issues with it. Saying fuck all this shit, because why should I care if the people who are doing the shit now or in control of it don't care?
Right.
And it's really disrespectful, because myself being a creative in my projects I'm working on, it's just like, okay, well, I could just work on my own shit, and then other people working on theirs, and we'll see our shit jump or become popular. But also, it's like, damn, like you see the disrespect, because these people who are in control of this shit now didn't create it and didn't build it up, but they're taking it to push whatever they want. Like you said, they having their therapy sessions through our shit, and they actually, and then the same breath will say, y'all care too much about this stuff. Why you looking so much into the stuff? Why you so butthurt by having a gay character in there? It's like they say this shit So, it's like they're, I don't know, I guess they acting like a bully or some shit at the school, and they taking our shit and telling you why you bitching about it. Like, shut up, just accept it. And it's like, no, fuck that. Like, we need to learn martial arts and kick the bully's ass right now.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, and from what you're seeing from a lot of these writers that are terrible at the job is the fact that they're using our medium to fail upwards. Like, don't no one care about Ta-Nehisi Coates. Your writing is trash for what Black Panther and Captain America. How do you even get those if your writing is trash? Unless you're trying to use the whole because of my skin I'm in angle. Because otherwise, if you'd have read 2 panels, you'd be like, what is this? This is terrible. Who actually greenlit this? You're not going to sell anything. We wasted money on both colorists, artists, and actually distributors to put this out. Like, you're going to cost a lot of money, but by the time that they are hit with that financial loss, this person's failed upward to be, I'm going to produce a movie now. It's like, whoa, you couldn't even write. And good writing is the foundation for a good movie, at least a critically acclaimed, really good movie. Good writing. You can't write in a medium of comic books. How do we trust you with a full film?
Yeah.
And so, because of the comic books, the movies are going to take a hit if these people that are terrible writers fail upward to actually create the movies that are going to get people excited about a character that they've never heard about.
Yeah, bro, it's weird because, like I said, bro, you think that they want to make the most money possible, and the way that you do that is to respect the fans and put out more good shit.
Right.
Don't take it and change it and tell us we wrong for not liking it.
Right.
Or you hear so many normies, and it's terrible because they will, like Miles Morales, for instance. I don't know. I'm always shitting on Miles, so I don't want to go too much into it. But it's like I told you, anytime you bring up points from the comic that shows how that character is trash and disrespectful to Black people, nobody has anything to say to that besides you just hate seeing Black folks. Like you were Uncle Tom or a Coon or some shit. And I'm like, hold on. I'm fighting for Black people. I'm telling you why Black people shouldn't like this. But just the fact that he has Black skin, you're all for it. You love it.
Right.
And they would, and they'll say like, I hate this fucking point, but they'll say it's just a mantle. They wrote Spider-Man so that anybody could be Spider-Man under the mask, and I was like, no, the fuck they didn't. That's some shit that's in that Spider-Verse movie. That's how I know you don't read fucking comics.
Nope.
And that's why I'm irritated having this conversation with you right now because you saying that shit.
Yeah, and again, it makes it worse because I would say this. It's like if we were having a discussion about art animation, right? I have to come to you. If we're having that discussion, I would have to come to you just saying, well, hey, you're going to forget more than I'll ever know when it comes to art. You know what I'm saying? At the trajectory you're going and where I'd get in, technically you would forget more than I would ever know. So I would have to almost defer to you as the expert in that field, right? Same thing with you and me in firearms. Do you know what I mean? The questions that you're asking are mainly, number one, they might be out of ignorance because you just don't know. Or you want to say, well, hey, I heard that, they're talking about this. Like, what have you seen or what do you know about that? And do you get what I'm saying? Because you're saying, I'm going to defer to you because you're the expert on this.
Yeah, like I was asking you with the Batman movie because I was like, I don't know too much, but, I'm asking you. You're my source on kind of how I should feel about this movie because I don't know shit.
Right. And so you don't want to, it makes it a bad thing to say like that's actually humility. But you're seeing that when it comes to these comic book conversations, people don't read comics. They're defiant in actually saying how you're wrong.
Yeah.
With either no evidence in it, you're trying to give me this emotional appeal when, in the face of me having my feelings and you having your feelings, we're both going to feel a way. But the only thing that's going to actually, turn out are the facts behind the facts that actually back up our statements. And the emotion comes from no, because they're saying it's going like this. The canon for the comic is saying this, but they're showing this. That's why this is wrong. That's the moral argument you're attaching to it, but I'm backing it up with the logic and the facts of, what the character's been established. And so when you get into these arguments or disagreements with people that don't read comics, they won't say how they defer to you on it.
Yeah.
Or say how, you might be right about that. Or saying, I understand that given now that you're telling me this might change my perspective a little bit. Or you know what? I appreciate you letting me know because I didn't know. Yeah. And I still say, regardless of what you told me, I still think this. And they can intelligently explain to you why. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to feel your way, I'm going to feel my way, but we both present our facts and evidence, I'm okay with that exchange.
Yeah.
Because that's the way life is supposed to be. You're not going to be able to convert everybody, and that's not your job.
Yeah.
Maybe the conversation you have is 10 years down the line for them to convince someone else, and you actually want to have them join your side. And it's just, you don't see that well. I mean, you're not really seeing much open discourse that's respectful, especially when it comes to a normie and someone that actually is in the hobby that the normie says they're into.
Yeah. And when these people say that they love this thing or whatever, but you see the shit that they praise, then it's like you kind of know, nah, you don't love it because you accept this. Like with the Miles situation. So I was having a conversation on fucking Facebook with somebody, and the dude's post was, who was this Miles Morales character and is he good? Because I've only known Spider-Man as Tobey Maguire from the movies. It was like, I didn't grow up with comics. So this person was being humble and saying, I don't know. You knowledgeable people educate me. And it was in a black group, like a black nerds group or whatever. And I'm talking about every black person except for maybe one or two, which I was one of those one out of like the 20 or 30 people that commented, was like, oh, he's great. Buzzwords, representation. I see myself in this character. He's for us, all that shit. And it was like, oh, bro, you a coon. All you see is the white man and Spider-Man and all this type of shit. And bro responded, where I came in was like, he's trash. His story is actually disrespectful to black people. I was like, but if you want to read the story to have your own opinion,
right?
I said, but these are some other Spider-Man stories that you can read, to get you more invested in the character and see if you even want to go down that road. But everybody else just spoke with so much fucking authority. Oh, like I said, you a coon. You can't see a black man as Spider-Man. That's what the movie was about. Anybody could be under the mask. So I'm just going at these people like, nah, he trash. You shouldn't like him for this, for that. And then, but the person ended up actually messaging me saying, I appreciate the response, you know what I'm saying, your response to my post, because everybody else attacked me, even though I said I don't know shit about comics. I didn't grow up with comics. I'm trying to be educated. So instead of people doing it, they just attacked me for not liking something. And I was like, yeah, bro, you'll realize like these people that love him don't even actually read his books. So you can't even take their opinion too seriously. But yeah, so that's humility. A lot of people don't show that. Everybody wants to be a fucking authority on something and can't admit that they don't know something.
Right. And I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's my approach to comics. You know, I would, like I said, bro, I wasn't heavy into nobody but Spider-Man and Hulk, but everybody else, the movies made me be like I said, with Iron Man and Captain America, I was like, okay, I don't know anything. Let me go and become knowledgeable so I can have a good conversation with somebody else that is super passionate about this stuff. And that's the approach that a lot of people don't want to take because I don't know, I guess they feel like inferior or some shit because they don't know something, so they have to pretend, which is weird to me. Then you put yourself in situations where you just look dumb as fuck. And you just got to keep on, you got to double down, be like, no, this is what I say it is because I got to be right. I'm just like, that's just weird. And, you know, life ain't going to go well for you acting like that.
It's not. I mean, that's, you know, the best thing you can say if you don't know is, hey, I don't know. You know, from what I've seen and read, this is the opinion that I formulated. But, you know, I may not have all the information. I may be only reading sources that repeat the same things, because sometimes when you look at these articles and they'll reference the source, they're repeating like the same thing the other person said, is repeating the same thing the other news outlet said, they're repeating the same thing the other news outlet said. You know what I mean? So you could be reading a story from someone that you think is a really great source, but they got it from a network that doesn't always have the unbiased reporting that you're used to.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's like, well, hey, I'm open to hearing, you know, the counterpoint or the counter argument, because there may be some good points that are in there. But, you know, to prevent all that, or to, because they might be insecure about not knowing. And, you know, some people, you know, for the most part, like to dunk on other people. Like sometimes we like to see people get dunked on, you know, and that's just sometimes the way we can be. But, you know, as a defense to that, they'll just have to say, well, I have to know because I don't want to be the ignorant person that gets shown up in front of my peers or winds up on YouTube for being ignorant or dumb or misinformed. And, you know, as a counterpoint, they try to arm themselves with the information to counter a point. And they build up this entire identity around knowing that based on those points. And then you see on situations like, you know, where Steven Crowder will have a change my mind, or there's an open debate, you know, the person that presents the counterpoint to their argument, the whole thing tumbles because they built up all this wealth of knowledge and put their identity in it without asking, you know, what is the counterpoint to my argument or to my statement? And you know, life isn't necessarily like that. Yeah. You know, you're going to meet people that you don't necessarily always agree with, but you're going to have to learn to coexist with that person. Yeah. Because, you know, life is about relationships and about people, and you're going to have to coexist, you know, if you're going to have any success in life.
And that's why freedom of speech is definitely important, because it kind of leaves everything open. And if you're not knowledgeable about something, then you can ask questions and you know, have an exchange and dialogue. There could be some discourse, you know, but like you said, either we're going to continue to, either we might agree on something, you might change my mind, or we can agree to disagree, but it doesn't have to be disrespectful.
Of course.
You know, in a world where we didn't have freedom of speech, I couldn't say Miles Morales is trash because Black people are so marginalized and you can't say anything negative about them. So in that world, I just got to be like, yes, Miles Morales is great. He's the best superhero, even though we know him by name. But he got
exactly.
Man, so we reached the 2-hour mark, man.
Yeah. I think we've gone full circle with what we wanted to talk about.
Yep. Anything else you want to get off your chest to wrap this up?
No, you know, honestly, I want to thank Godless Martial Arts, Agent Bassy or Bossy Boots, and we got and Wolf Guy Werewolf Channel. Like, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. Again, you know, like, comment, subscribe, share. Let us know if there are any topics that we didn't get to go to today that you want to hear in the future as well. I mean, you know, I think we had another great show for episode 5, and I'm ready to go for next one for 6 for next week.
Yes, sir. Agent Bossy Boots is definitely appreciate her for coming through. I'll tell you about that once we get off. But yeah, and just leaving comments. Anybody that comes involved or get in the conversation, you know, this is me and Ego talking, but we want to have the opinion or talk to other people, or, you know, hit some of their points, or they might provide something to the conversation that we didn't hit that is valuable. You know, that can move the conversation forward or get us to like some better understanding. I'm hot as shit in this garage.
That's why I wanted to end early too, man. I was like, you know what? I can't have you have a stroke on live TV, man.
Hey, shit, if you see it, then you know, come help me, bro. But that's it, people.
All right.
We out. We will see y'all again next week, talking about whatever's relevant, whatever's happening at the time, as well as whatever else we want to add or talk about, get off of our chests. It's been fun. Appreciate y'all for coming through. And we out.
All right. Check you guys later.